All right. Was been watch this for a little minute. But hey, we here though, you know? A lot of things just going on the like list. I got plenty of other things on the like list. We got Chingu. I accidentally become the director of Smiley Friend. Mind you, Smiley Friend is actually an amazing, funny show. Season 1, Season 2. And they're allegedly saying they're supposed to stop by Season 3 and stuff like that. They was not gonna do it, but they retract their words and they say, you know what, we're gonna do more season of this and stuff like that. Because the fans really like us fans really like the Smiley Friends. It's just something funny. Especially that that one episode when that dude was trying to be a SoundCloud rapper, bro. He was trying to be a SoundCloud rapper.
What about this guy?
Hello, sir. Why the long face?
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of like, freaking pissed off, man. I always want to be a SoundCloud artist, man.
Yeah, so he get this little thing. And, you know, they were trying to give him advice and stuff like that. And watch what happen.
But, no one wants to, listen to my freaking, my shitty stuff, man. It makes me angry, man.
I don't mind it. You just need to keep working hard at it, and you'll definitely find an audience.
Facts. And that's what most of, you know, underground artists and any rapper that need a type of advice like this. From a friend or a fan, from anybody in general.
Practice makes perfect.
Hey, I just remember, you two little critters told me that, it would be easier if I just quit making music and, gave the freak up and stuff, man.
No, we've never spoken to you, sir.
Yeah, no, I met you two, man. I freaking met you two. You grim and you gnarly and stuff, man.
No.
Okay, look, I see what's going on. No, look, those are just two guys who look like us.
Yeah, they just look like us.
Man, shut up, man. You're trying to trick me, man. Put smoke into my freaking head and shit, man. Not at all, man. Man, I don't know what to think no more, man.
Okay, look, yes, no one's messing with your head.
Get out of me,
Nobody's messing with your head.
Get out of me,
Let's just
head.
put, no, nobody's messing with your head, man.
Stuff like that, saying you can just go back and watch that and just laugh, saying, because it's just funny, saying nobody never thought about dude just pulling out a gun and just saying, get out of me head, get out of me head. Like, it's so funny, but we is on the road to 500.
I did not mean to become the Smiling Friends director. In fact, when I started working on the show, I was a baby, 19 years old. I'd never storyboarded before. I didn't understand how TV animation worked. I'd never even had a real job before. Basically still breastfeeding.
Whoa.
And 4 years later, I was directing the show. And honestly, there were so many times I could have screwed it up. Like the time I was stressing about losing a week's worth of work 5 hours before the deadline.
Or being forced to storyboard an entire episode from a monastery in rural Italy. I went from being a teenage animator to being in charge of hundreds of professional animators on a #1 show. And then I lost it all in an instant. And nothing about the way it all went down was normal.
Even me getting hired in the first place was crazy. When I first heard that Zach and Michael had made a pilot, I dropped everything. I was a huge fan of both of them. I got my popcorn, sat down, and I watched Smiling Friends for the first time. And then I watched it like 5 more times. It killed me. I would die laughing every time I watched it. So I reached out to Zach to congratulate him. I wasn't expecting any response, but later that day, my phone buzzed. Zach Hadel, my favorite animator, messaged me back. And not only did he respond, but he told me that if Smiling Friends got greenlit, he would want to hire me for the show. He was a fan of my animations. I was so stoked, but I didn't tell anyone about it because I didn't want to jinx it. The show wasn't greenlit yet, but 6 months later, it was. And I got another text from Zach. They gave me a script from the unmade version of the Halloween episode, and I had to turn 1 page of it into a storyboard. That was my storyboard test. I still have the original Notepad sketches from when I was making it.
So the test was done, but I didn't have the job yet. They had to decide if they actually wanted to hire me. All I could do now was wait. It was one of the longest weeks of my life. I was refreshing my email constantly, and one day in December, I got an email back. I got hired, and they were gonna give me 2 episodes to board. It was like an early Christmas present.
But here's the problem.
Charlie
I was
Brown
19, still in college, and now I had to work as a storyboard artist for an Adult Swim show. And I didn't know how to storyboard. That test was the first thing I had ever done. I'd never storyboarded for any of my YouTube videos. I didn't even know how to use a storyboarding program. I had no idea what the rule of thirds was, no idea what TV show storyboards were even supposed to look like, and I had 3 months to do 2 full episodes. It had just taken me like 2 weeks to do a minute, and I was taking college classes at the same time. On top of everything, I had no work ethic at all, and it was all remote, so I had no one keeping me accountable. At the end of my second episode, I had procrastinated so much that I was forced to work like 16-hour days for like 2 weeks
Woo! No type of sleeps.
straight. And I was working on this tiny, shitty little all-in-one tablet, and I was saving my files incorrectly because I'd never used the program before, and it
And what happened?
could have cost me my job because, well, here's the story. It was 2 days before deadline, 3 a.m. I've been working nonstop for 2 weeks. My wrists were killing me, my eyes were burning from looking at the screen, and I had just finished the episode. And I went to click save, and it wouldn't save. And then
Wow, nah, bro. That would have got me hot. I ain't lying to you. That right there would have got me hot. That wouldn't got me hot for real.
I clicked again. So I tried copying every panel in the entire episode into a different file, and it didn't work. All of my work from the past 2 days was sitting there, and I couldn't do anything. It was 32 hours of work, and the deadline was in 8 hours. I was screwed. I was gonna let Zach and Michael down. They could have hired some industry storyboarding veteran, but they didn't. And if I didn't deliver my episode, they would realize that it was a mistake to hire me.
But I wasn't giving up. I troubleshooted for 2 hours. I barely had any time before my deadline, and I still had to upload it. But I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't save. I checked the file to see if it had corrupted when I noticed a red bar. I had 0.9 gigabytes of space left on my computer. I started deleting.
I hate that computer just take all the take majority of the gigabytes with the things you use, man. That's the, I don't know, son. They didn't want you to buy more gigabytes. Like Apple. Buy more gigabytes so you can have more space to store to your stuff.
Deleting stuff, old photos, school projects, and I almost deleted the animation from my pilot that impressed Zach enough to hire me in the first place. Which, if you want, you can see on my Patreon. Surprise! I made one. And since Smiling Friends ended so unexpectedly, I'm out of a job. So it'd be a great help if you guys like my cartoons and you want to see these pilots that I'm cooking up, then go check out my Patreon. Anyway, it was 5 a.m. I finally got enough space to save the file. But when I went to upload it, it said it would take over a day to upload. My Wi-Fi was too slow. But I had an idea. I started looking up anywhere that was open this late, and I found it.
Oh, wow.
It took hours, but at least Dunkin' Donuts Wi-Fi was better than mine, and it uploaded. I went home, and for the first time in weeks, I slept in. And when I woke up, I had a message from Zach and Michael. They saw my boards, and they loved them. And goddamn, I was lucky it was remote. I mean, if anyone saw my working habits, they would have never
That boy, I know that boy slept too good, bro.
hired me again. And the fact that Zach and Michael love my work made me way more confident in my boarding. But it didn't really matter anymore because boards were done. They wanted me on animation, which is a completely different skill set. So I was hoping the first thing they give me wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to animate. It was the hardest thing in the world to animate. And it really shouldn't have been. It was Pim's cowboy hat. Which I know it sounds dumb, but this hat made my life hell for way too long. Cowboy hats have these raised bits and they look different from every angle. It took forever to learn, but I conquered the hat. I did my shot. But what I didn't know is I was about to learn a valuable lesson in TV animation. If you do well with one hard shot, they keep giving you more hard shots. Next time I checked my assignments, I had not one, not two, but 4 more cowboy hat shots. I even had to animate one that was just the hat. So they give you hard shots, which is a pain. But it's cool though, because you get shots like the crowd smashing the forest demon or Charlie getting tortured. I even got to animate Gilbert Gottfried as God. which was his last role before he passed, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
But then animation wrapped, and the season was over. But now, I had my name in the credits of a real show, and there was even supposed to be a rap party in LA. I could have the chance to meet Zach and Michael in person for the first time. But the thing is, they gave us a week's notice for it, and I was on the East Coast. I was so sad. I called my dad. I was like, man, there's no way I can go. I really want to, but like, they gave us a week's notice. Like, I can't afford to buy a ticket a week in advance. And then I checked my email the next day. My dad bought me a ticket to go. And so 1 week later, I was on a hotel rooftop. There was a hot tub, a huge inflatable screen that was playing the show. And I wasn't even 21 yet. I was the youngest person there. And I was with my dad because he bought his own ticket too. But I was glad he was there. He was like my manager. It was so fun. That was where I met Zach and Michael for the first time. I got to meet the Perry Caravello. And I got to meet Hannah Daigle for the first time.
I know that's right. Hey, do your dreams work. Y'all be like this one day, kids.
And to this day, she's still one of my closest friends. Looking back now, this might have been my first real step toward directing the show. Because it's one thing to hire someone, and then it's another thing to meet them and find out that they're not just some random smelly animator. They're actually like fairly normal and well-adjusted. And that's important. So the party was great. The only problem is that now there was this huge break between season 1 and 2. And so I went back to being a college student, and I decided to study abroad in Italy. And then season 2 started while I was in Italy, which I worried would happen. Luckily, I brought that little tablet that I boarded on in season 1. But now I was supposed to board while I was in another country. During a semester where we were constantly traveling, we were in classes all day, and I was living in an old converted monastery, which had walls that were made of stone bricks, so thick that no Wi-Fi could get through them. So what this meant is that on nights where I had to upload my work for meetings, I had to stand outside in the cold because I had better connection outside the building than inside of it. Balancing school and work was almost impossible. I was working mornings and nights. I even started working during class. One of my art professors was like, "You have an actual art job? Yeah, you don't need to do these art projects. Just do your work." At one point, I was a week behind on my boards, which was a quarter of the episode. And I was supposed to go to Modena with my friend to see the Ferrari Museum. I stayed home. I was trying to prove that even though I was young and in college, I could still do good work on the show. Probably the best example of this is during Easter.
Oh yeah, that's so low-key, dude. That's grind dedication right there. Hey, that's grind dedication right there, you know? If you really want to be out here, drawing and you want to make your own cartoons and stuff like that, hey.
Allow me to set the stage. The whole town and all the students were involved in this huge ceremony. There was a giant cross and a statue of Jesus, and they were carrying it through the streets. They had candles and robes, and it was all solemn. And I could see below where the procession would end. The beautiful town piazza where we would celebrate Easter together in Italy. And right when we were about to get there, I had to go back up because I had a meeting. I was literally choosing my job over religion. Sorry, Jesus. But it came to a point where I actually told Zach and Michael that I didn't think I would finish on time. And when boards get delayed, everything in the pipeline gets delayed. It's a big problem. And I was terrified of being the kid they took a chance on who couldn't keep up. So I locked in. I actually finished that episode 2 days early. And when they saw it, they loved it. So much so that they started asking me to help punch up boards on other episodes. They were letting me make judgment calls on certain visual aspects of the show. They were trusting my knowledge of the style in ways they never had before, which was weird because normally you're getting notes. People are telling you what to change, but instead of giving me notes, they started asking me what I thought should change on other boards. So I felt like something was kind of changing. And then one day it all made sense. When animation started, they asked me to lead the same episode I boarded. And what that meant is that on the same episode, I was a storyboard artist and the animation lead, which is crazy because those are two completely different parts of the process. One is planning the scene and the other is overseeing the final animation. I was giving notes to other people for the first time. So I wasn't simply just doing my part anymore. I was gonna be responsible for how the whole episode turned out. And that's a really big jump. So like for months, I was animating non-stop. If this was going to be my episode, I wanted it to be as good as possible. Like 3 full minutes for the start of the Alien episode, I animated. All of Fillmore, the UFO shot where they get sucked up. But now I wasn't only responsible for myself, I also had to lead a team of animators. And I had such a great team. Hannah Daigle was on it, Zorro was on it, even the Small Boo team was on it. And they did work for like Adventure Time. And now
Okay, I ain't never watched this before, but okay.
Was on it, Zorro was on
We still gotta watch another episode of this. We still gotta watch another episode of this Monkey Ranch.
Even the Small Boo team was on it, and they did work for like Adventure Time. And now I was leading them. It was crazy. But then the pipeline changed, and things started getting shipped overseas, which meant that my job became giving notes to the overseas studio. So imagine me, 22, joining Zoom calls and speaking through a translator to a full room of Korean animators. I mean, literally every single one of them was older than me. It was terrifying. I didn't turn my camera on the whole season because I didn't want anyone realizing how young I was. And it worked in a weird way. I mean, almost no one on production, even on our team, knew how old I was. So like, even at the season 2 wrap party, someone actually came up to me and was like, wait, you're David Hootsell? I thought you were some like 55-year-old man. And I guess at that point I realized that it didn't matter. If you put in the work and you're good at it, it didn't matter how old you were. One day I was out walking and I was just thinking about where I was. I was 23 years old. I had just graduated and I'd gotten to lead a team full of amazing animators to finish an episode that I boarded myself on a TV show that I loved. And as I'm walking, I get a call from Adult Swim. And they asked me if I wanted to oversee everyone's boards. Like, for the whole show. I was going to be the board director. And not only that, but Adult Swim was bringing the show in-house, in Atlanta.
Hey.
And I was in Atlanta. I would get to work at the William Street building. The thing at the end of the credits. I was so excited that I showed up before I even had a badge, and I got kicked out. But I had an office. I was working alongside other shows like Haha You Clowns. Adult Swim felt like a family. Like I made real friends there. It felt like what I imagined old school Cartoon Network must have felt like. Like even like they had such cool shit. Like at the Christmas party, they hired a tattoo artist, and you could get a tattoo for free. For the longest time, I had always wanted to get a tattoo for every cool show that I worked on. And so the whole time at the party, I was thinking about it, and I was nervous, and I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to. And so I put my name in the queue, and I got a Smiling Friends office tattoo. You can see here. And I remember when I showed the tattoo to Zach and Michael, we were in a meeting, and I remember Michael was like, "Is that real? Is that real? Did you actually get that?" Like they weren't like, "Whoa, that's cool." They were like, "Oh my God, you actually did that?" I remember Michael went to the bathroom at some point during the meeting, and I was like, "Do you think Michael thinks it's weird that I got a tattoo?" But he was like, "No, man, he probably thinks it's cool." It was so fun. I was loving working on season 3. One of the coolest things about being the board director was just seeing how flexible the show was. We'd be in meetings with...
Hey, that's dedication. You like your favorite show, you do get them tatted. Loki, I might get that tatted. I got a lot of couple shows that I watching when I was a kid, you know. I want to get tatted up. So yeah.
Zach and Michael watching through the episode. And they'd suddenly just pause on a shot and go, what if a car just comes in right here and smashes into Alan? And then more cars come in and they hit the boss too. And then like suddenly a new entire gag exists. Or we'd be looking at a post-credit scene and they go like, this isn't working. What if the witch comes home crying and her husband goes and he hugs her and he's like, can you still suck it tonight? You said you would. And that would just become the new ending. Stuff like that happened all the time. They were always chasing the funniest version of every moment. And they weren't precious about anything. If something wasn't working, it was gone. They completely axed it. And every episode always ended up 1 or 2 minutes too long. So they were constantly cutting or reworking scenes to hit the runtime. Which is how we ended up with lines like Alan talking about Mole Man's penis being delicious. Because that wasn't even the original joke. But it made the show better. Which is super inspiring even for my own stuff. You know, I'd be working on a cartoon, I'd be like, oh, I don't like this section. And it made me realize like, wait, I can just change it. But at the same time, it also meant nothing was ever really done. You'd think you finish an episode, and then suddenly you're reworking an entire scene, like the week before delivery. At some point that season, there were talks about bringing on an animation director. And honestly, I was kind of relieved, because boarding and animation overlapped in our schedule. So having someone else take that on sounded great. Can we get much higher? Okay, obviously I said yes. I did not care how much work it was going to be. Well, maybe I should have. Suddenly, I'm juggling my own boards, my team's boards, sending episodes overseas, getting shots back, and giving notes on everything, all at the same time. And since there was a language barrier, we handled all lip sync in-house just to make sure everything was exactly right. And on top of all of that, there was one thing that made the show especially demanding. Specialty animation. Like the 3D and mixed media stuff in the show. So anything like that, that wasn't me. That was handled by our specialty director, Aaron Fromm. 2D animation,
Aaron Fromm. Shout out to Aaron
always
Fromm.
had to change for specialty. Never
never the other way around, which meant everything had to line up really precisely. So I'd think a scene was finished, and then it comes back and it's just slightly off, and now we have to rework the entire scene to make it fit seamlessly. And then there were direction boards, the least fun thing ever invented.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a PDF with every single movement in the episode, broken down panel by panel. If anything moved, anything, it had to be clearly communicated for the overseas studio. And some of these were over 2,000 pages long. It took me a full week just to finish the first one. And halfway through all of this, we added 2 more episodes to the season. So now I'm juggling new storyboards, getting animation back, giving notes on everything. It was a lot to keep track of. And I definitely didn't do it alone. Our animation lead, Sabrina, was incredible. The show would not have come together without her. And people stepped up everywhere.
Paul jumped in to help with direction board. James came on as another animation lead.
And somehow, in the middle of all of that, I got some of the coolest opportunities of my
I grew
life.
up watching Paul.
Animation lead.
And somehow, in the middle of everywhere,
Paul jumped in.
Lead Sabrina was incredible. The show would not have come together without her. And people stepped up everywhere.
Paul jumped in to help with direction.
Well, I grew up watching this, Paul. Low key, all of this, I grew up watching this when I was little, bro. Dead serious.
Board. James came on as another animation lead.
And somehow, in the middle of all of that, I got some of the coolest opportunities of my life. I went to Annecy, I got to speak at SCAD, and afterwards, people were coming up to me saying they watched my YouTube videos when they were in high school.
And that was the weirdest part.
Because I still...
Oh, hold on. You the one made that murder? That murder part? Oh, that was you? Wow. We watched this so long ago, bruh. That was so long ago. That's the longest we watched this for.
And that was the weirdest part, because I still felt like a kid. I had just gone from managing myself to managing a team to helping manage an entire show. That's what made Smiling Friends so special. People got hired not because they had 10 years of experience, but because they were already out there making great art. And then they were trusted to step up. Even during the show, people would get brought on because someone saw a piece of fan art or an animation online relating to Smiling Friends, and we would just reach out to them. I don't know many other shows that worked like that. It says a lot about Zach and Michael that they trusted artists like that. And I think that's what they saw in me too. They liked my work. More importantly, they could tell that I cared about the show. I was willing to do whatever it took to make it as good as possible. I had their trust when I was still figuring it out. I became more responsible, more confident, and I got to help make something I really love.
So I was getting ready to start storyboarding on season 4, and I hadn't heard what my start date was yet. So when I got an email, I was stoked. And then I opened it.
Smiling Friend crew regret announcing that we haven't the end the show after season 3.
Hannah had just moved here 2 months ago to work on the show. And now, the thing that had made our lives so amazing was over. And as I was sitting there, looking across the table, at my friend who had just lost her job, and my other friend who wasn't going to see me back in the office anymore, just not even knowing what to do, I realized that these 2 people sitting in front of me would never have ever been sitting in front of me if not for this show.
Yep.
I would have never met either of these 2. I would have never had the relationship with these people who are here with me at a Waffle House at midnight on a random Thursday if not for this show. I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't have met my heroes. I couldn't have gone to Italy if it wasn't for Smiling Friends. And so I don't regret a thing. And I understand why Zach and Michael ended the show. They gave their entire lives to it for years. Everything in it was exactly what they wanted it to be. And when you care that much for that long about every single detail, it makes sense to step away when you feel like you've taken it as far as you can. And so, even though it was sudden, I couldn't be mad about it. Because Smiling Friends changed my life. And yeah, I was sad. I was sad I wouldn't have my job anymore. But mostly I was just thinking about how lucky I was to be part of it at all. I got to grow up through that show. I went from being a teenager who didn't know what he was doing to helping run something I used to watch as a fan. I got to work with people I looked up to. I got to make something I genuinely love. And I got to make friends I still talk to every day. And that's not a chance a lot of people get. So even though Smiling Friends is over, I'm really glad it happened. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. and I'm glad I put this on my arm.
Should have come to find out they coming right back.
So see you, crazy critters. It was fun while it lasted. Goodbye. But David, you don't have a job anymore. How can I support you going forward? Thanks for asking, murderer. You can.
But yeah, and just to come to find out, they dropping like more seasons of this. So yeah, so he got his job back. But hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow our social media, pop on the screen. We is on the road to 500, and I'm out.